Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law Practice, and today I've got a couple of email questions in my inbox that are going to take a little while for me to explain, so I thought I would just make video. And one of them is regards to intake, and I owe you an update on how our intake experiment is going anyway, but here is the question that I've gotten in my email box. How are you handling follow-ups? What type of communication seems to yield the best response? Currently, we use a combination of emails, phone calls, and texts. We reach out 8 times after the initial consultation. It's my understanding that your firm is using paralegals to direct the entire consultation. Do you inform the leads during the initial intake that their consultation will be with a paralegal? Do they meet with the attorney at all during the consultation, or do they schedule another meeting with the attorney before they retain? How do they respond when not meeting with an attorney? How do they respond to any legal questions they may be asked? Fantastic email, lots of great questions, and lots of people are wondering this as they're following our intake experiment. So first, let me give you an update. We're halfway through September. At the beginning of September, we switched from our outside of the office person who was a medical salesperson to using our internal paralegals. These are two women who know the law really inside and out, and they also know the line of what's legal advice and what's legal information, what are they allowed to say and what aren't they allowed to say. One is a certified legal doc preparer and works directly with clients in our sister company, Access Legal, which will be rebranded and is working on a new brand name, which I'll talk about, but not today. And then the other one is our managing paralegal for Modern Law. So both of these women know the law inside and out as paralegals. They know the system, they know what people might expect and what they might experience, but they also know what's legal advice and where do they need to get the attorney involved. And I feel like that type of background has been really helpful. So what has happened is this. We have had a total of 20 consultations, which is down from when we first initially started doing the free consultations. I told you it was about 20 a week previously, and now right now it looks like we've had 20 so far. Who knows why? You just have to watch these things, but right now we're at 20, and one paralegal has an 80% conversion rate and one paralegal has a 60% conversion rate. They are selling for both Modern Law and for Access Legal. The other thing to keep in mind here is when people first start taking consultations, their conversion rate will always be lower than it would be over time. The reason is we measure conversion by how many people you met with and how many people hired you. And what happens is not everybody hires immediately. So as time goes on, people that you met with a month ago, 2 weeks ago, last week, higher, so your conversion rate always goes up over time. So right now, these numbers are crazy, crazy good. They're doing a fantastic job. I'm not going to make any changes. I'm not going to hire somebody else. For sure, this is what we're going to do for now. So now with that background, I want to get into these questions. How do you follow up? Each consultation has a specific plan for follow-ups. So this is very individualized depending on what is going on with the person and what they need. So for instance, there's somebody that met with one of these paralegals last night and they said they would hire. They said they would hire by the end of the day. They haven't. That means we follow up. We follow up, we follow up, we follow up. We see what they need. Other times people are like, I'm just shopping. I'm just getting information about divorce. We wouldn't follow up with them every single day. So I think that this needs to be very specific to the actual person. And there's no way that your law firms are so big or that if you don't have time to do this, to craft a response for each person you're meeting with, then you need to think about, am I giving enough resources to intake and sales? Because each individual should have an individually crafted follow-up plan. And then as terms of, emails, phone calls, or texts, it really depends on the person. And I think that it's worth looking at. It's my understanding your firm uses paralegals to direct the entire consultation. That's right, although we're not calling them consultations because we feel like that could be confusing. So our intake team is calling this an initial case meeting or initial case evaluation. And we're very clear upfront that you're meeting with a paralegal. That's why it's free. Do you inform the leads during the initial consultation their consultation will be the paralegal? Yes, absolutely. Now, when they've gotten some pushback, our intake team, when they've heard, why am I meeting with an attorney, my intake team on their own, very smart, very capable women, said, you know, our attorneys have full caseloads and we really want them focusing entirely on those caseloads. So when you're a client of our firms, your attorney won't be leaving working on your case to go meet with a potential client. You'll have their full undivided attention to work on their caseload. And that was very well received. The other thing is if people want to bypass the free consultation and book with an attorney, they can, but they'll do so at the attorney's full hourly rate. And so far in the maybe, I don't know, we started in August, so we're at about 6 weeks. Only 1 or 2 people have said, no, I just want to meet with an attorney for legal advice. No problem. We go ahead and book that, do that. Do they meet with the attorney at all during that initial case meeting? They do not. They do not. And these people, these numbers that I told you, 60% for one person and 80% for somebody else, they've never met with an attorney at that point, and they're not asking to. We have enough of a process and enough of a system, and everything else is locked down. So if you're paying attention to my other videos, you know that like nothing's haphazard, and they know that they're walking into a machine that works really, really well, and the attorneys' bios are all very specific and laid out on the website, fully explaining who they are and what they do. You can see videos about the attorneys. You can hear stories about the attorneys. So they don't feel the need to actually meet with them, or at least they haven't yet. Do they have another meeting before they retain? No, most of the time they're retaining at the first meeting. And that's because these paralegals have gotten the training to overcome objections and move people from being stuck to unstuck to signing and hiring. Most of the time immediately. Sometimes it's the next day. But everybody is so competent and so well trained. Even our front desk person, who's my office manager, is so competent and so well trained that they don't feel the need to ever ask for or meet with the attorney. How do they respond to any legal questions? They say, that is a fantastic question, and there's a lot of ways the attorney, and you might decide to go with that. Remember, we've got our closing sheet, which describes how it is that we handle their case. And I know it doesn't work like this, so I'm just going to remind you. It says that the initial consultation, the initial case meeting is the players, the problems, the objectives identified, and then assigning the right legal team. We've got a picture of our entire team in our consultation rooms, in the conference rooms, and the paralegal can point out, this is who I think your attorney should be and why. Or you can ask questions like, do you prefer a male or a female? Do you, how would your ex respond to someone who's older or someone who's younger? So we can walk through those questions and decide together who that attorney is going to be. Then our second step, once you work with Modern Law, is a strategy session with the attorney. So once you hire, that's when we dive into strategy. That's when we make decisions, and that's when we give you legal advice. And together we work to figure out the best strategy for you. And then our step 3 is to meet, communicate, and reevaluate. So, the ladies they're meeting with know the law well enough to draw the boundaries between, I can tell you that child support is calculated via calculator, and I can tell you that we're going to gather your income information, and we're going to gather the income information from the other side, and we're going to walk through these other factors and design a whole plan before we can figure out child support. So that is the way that you can handle that sort of legal question. What's my child support going to be? Well, here's how we're going to do that. So that's kind of always it, I think, is here's how we're going to handle that. Well, should I ask for spousal maintenance? Here's how we're going to handle that. We're going to have a meeting with the attorney. We're going to dive into your specific case. You've told me that you are going to move in with your parents. That may impact how much spousal maintenance you ask for. That's not legal advice. That's information, that's seed planting, and that's issue spotting. So I hope that answers your questions. And if you've got more of them, send them my way. I'm happy to answer them, happy to share with you how this experiment is going. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss the next updates. We'll talk to you soon.